All right, so chapter 10, correlated group designs. We talked a little bit about that at the end of the last video. This one's going to take us all the way through it. So it's a within subjects designs. All participants are exposed to all experimental conditions. So the need is to control for the sequence effects. And of course, sequence effects are a result of having gone from one condition to the next condition, and they may be affected by the previous condition. And so we do our best to control for that by varying the order of presentation, like with counterbalancing the Latin sequence, which we briefly went over last time. Within subjects, strengths are more sensitive to small group differences because the variability due to the individual differences is statistically eliminated. That's because all of the subjects do all of the experiments. Okay, and fewer participants are needed because each participant appears in each condition. So less people are needed, and the extractions take less time, so it's quicker. The weaknesses are potential subject effects, right? So they may be able to practice or carry over effects, so learning from the previous thing that they did. And it's controlled by varying the order of the presentation. So counterbalancing, random order of presentation, or the Latin square design are ways to try to counteract these subject effects. Matched subject designs introduces correlation by matching the participants in each group with participants from other groups. Should match on relevant variables, so variables that affect the dependent variable, variables that show considerable natural variation in the population sampled. So strengths and weaknesses of matched is that increased sensitivity to small differences between groups, but without the sequence effects of within subjects groups designs. The weakness or weaknesses, extra work of matching participants. So you got to get some good data, match them according to that data, and then provide and use the experiment. Participants without appropriate matches cannot be used in the study. So if there's not somebody who's similar enough to somebody else, then that's a loss of a potential subject or participant. So our statistics, which we didn't have in the last chapter, our null hypothesis tested in a two-group design using a two-tails test. Remember, two-tails, it goes out both ways. So we're just looking at generally does the group, our null hypothesis is does a group 1 match group 2? Our alternative hypothesis is, hypothesis alternative is the first group does not match the second group. Okay. If we're going to do a one-tailed test, remember the null hypothesis says that the first group is less than or equal to the second group, or the null hypothesis is the first group is greater than or equal to the second group. Depending on which way you want to go, present your alternate hypothesis. Our alpha is typically set at 0.05. It's pretty much across the board. So the data fit parametric test, the data fit a bell-shaped distribution. Certain parameters are known, so we know the mean and the standard deviation, and it has to use interval ratio data. The correlated groups t-test, and again, you're going to go by the names, a parametric inferential test used to compare the means of two related within or matched subjects. Difference scores are the scores representing the difference between subjects' performance in one condition and their performance in the second condition. So when we write according to APA style, t-test with 18 degrees of freedom equals 4.92, and this is p is less than 0.5 on a one-tailed. When a result is significant, the p-value is reported as less than the p-value. P-value or alpha value indicates the probability of a type 1 error. We want this probability to be small. The assumptions for the correlated groups t-test are the same as those for the independent groups t-test, except for the observations are correlated. So that is chapter 10. This stuff's pretty quick. We're going to go over this tomorrow. if you're available. And I'm going to record it and post it like I did the last time. So for those people who are interested in getting those type of answers. Okay. So tomorrow at noon, we're going to post these.